that specific map. And it was just a matter of let's try something they won't expect, and sometimes they will. And again, like that second round after the pistol just completely demolished us, and we definitely need to work on that.
Well, you've got some time to work on it before tomorrow. You avoided elimination, at least for now. Vitality, I've got one more step ahead of them tomorrow, but I'm going to be going back to the desk. I wish I had more time to ask him more questions because that was absolutely exciting. Stunner, back over to you.
Thanks, man. Yeah, let's get down to what really happens here, because right now, Valiants are out of the tournament. That's it. Their major run is over. It's done. It's dusted. Now, what can we say on the other side of this? Obviously, it's a learning experience. But in the big picture, what would you guys have to say about this Valiants lineup?
Look, if I had to make a statement about the way that they approached that entire best-of-3, they stuck to their guns. They didn't, go away from the formula that was working for them throughout this tournament. They stayed aggressive, they stayed in their face, and they went for those individual plays. And that is an admirable thing. I think as they go forward, they can adjust, they can add more to their pool, they can learn a different way to approach the game. That's going to be such a strong bow to have. The fact is that there's a lot of individual talent here and positive signs for these guys moving forward in 2019.
Yeah, certain protocols need to be implemented. They created themselves good situations where it's like they equalize from like 2-on-3 situation to a 2-on-2, and then a player just decides to make an aggressive move, loses that fight, and then it becomes a 1-on-2 where that said player could have just fallen back, played it more passively, and regrouped, played a 2-on-2. So there's a lot of like tiny little things like that where they just need to kind of hone and make sure that they're not doing mistakes like that. And obviously, kind of like Chad was saying, they need to add different layers to their game because teams are going to be adapting to that aggressiveness really, really quickly. It'll work at certain points in time. I like it. I like that factor in the mix, but it can't be the main course.
Yes, and the main course is done here for at least Valiants. They will be having their dinner elsewhere going forward. Katowice does struggle, or carry on, I should say, just like we will be going on to our next matchup. We do have that of Ents and North for the last best-of-3 of the day here. We're finalizing this bracket. We're making it all done and dusted itself. But first, I have to take us to a commercial. So make sure you come back. We'll be here. You don't go anywhere.
Vodafone presents the pre-match.
With a population of 5.5 million, the Northern Lights can be seen from the country's Arctic Lapland province. That's right, Ents are here, and the Northern Lights are ready to shine, but not if one Northern contender can make something happen there and put a stop to that train that is Ents Esports, the Finnish esports organization from Finland. My name is Trey Saranthus. Welcome back, everybody. We got a second best-of-3 coming your way, and I've got an analytical crew to die for. That's right, I've got Sponge and Natu here. No favorites at all, no favoritism, no bias, none of that. We're going to have a clear and concise, very balanced, very fair analyzation of what's going on here.
North's going to win 2-0.
Outstanding. All right, let's get into the... I'm kidding. Guys, we do have a best-of-3 on our hands, and we do know the implications of this one. Both these teams, for what it's worth, have seen some ups and downs. Last year, Ents really put some numbers on the board. North tried to find that identity again that we know that they can have, bringing in Katie in at least to take over the helms there where MSL left off. But now is a little bit different of a story. Now is the minor for the major.
Yeah, North feel like they've warmed into this tournament. What they saw from them yesterday was it was a much better showing in that regard. A point that came out yesterday from one of those stats websites was that Cadian is instrumental in their T-sides in finding opening kills and having an impact there. So look towards the in-game leader, the big man in the middle right there to get it done. And then obviously Valda, he is one of the highest rated players in the tournament right now. So those are some of the win conditions early for North.
Yeah, very much in a rebuild phase, you have to say. When Cadian was brought in from Rogue, new leadership, MSL taking out the throne finally in that lineup. So they definitely are a team that has good promise.
Yeah, and then we've got Ents, and contrastingly, these guys started the tournament very hot in dominant fashion, and then it feels to me like they've cooled off a little bit yesterday, struggling. The biggest battle for these guys, at least in my mind, is having a closer, is having somebody step up and shut out these matches, because the fundamentals are there. It's just the lacking of experience, and they're building that with every tournament they go to, and really showing the individual prowess with the likes of Ariel and Alu, and even Sergey in the top 5 rated players in the tournament thus far.
And those fundamentals, the laurels that this Finnish esports organization question rest on Natu. You could probably give us a little bit better insight than anyone else, I think, at this point. But just what does it mean to these guys to really get this far and then stamp on into that major?
I think in the big picture, obviously, like 3 years ago when we started this whole organization, basically, the goal was to build a Finnish Counter-Strike team that would be able to do that. And it's been a rocky road. But obviously, this team has been able to really heighten up the Finnish Counter-Strike once again to be profitable. We've managed to finally have a team that can actually compete on the world stage. So for these guys, I felt like yesterday, you know, they felt really like loosened up to actually have won that Valiance game because they really had to fight for it and felt like they were struggling for a little bit there. So I feel like they're probably going to be, you know, feeling fresh and not too much pressure right now because they're in a good position.
I mean, the position is playing against the North, right? Yeah. So, I mean, right off the bat, you do have the veterancy. You do have that sort of experience over on the North side. And coming into this matchup today, is this something that could trouble them a little bit more, so to say, than the Valiant side of things did?
I feel like stylistically, this is going to be an easier approach for both sides, actually.
Right? Yeah.
Because both teams play a traditional way of Counter-Strike. It's not about making crazy individual plays. It's more about calm and calculated decision-making. So when both sides are playing by those rules, usually you are just more comfortable going into the matchup.
Sure. I definitely agree with that sentiment here. And I think, you know, this is a map where, not a map, sorry, a best of three where North can have that chance to really take advantage of the fact that they are a little bit more experienced. But toe-to-toe, these guys are pretty even.
Well, toe-to-toe starts right here at the Veto because it's time to find out which of the three maps are to be played, or at least two of them guaranteed. I can guarantee you that. Can't guarantee you three. And I guess perhaps, where do we see this one going?
Ooh, Ents love a bit of train.
Yes, and Nuke could be North's map as well.
Yeah, I'm sure they'd be happy with that. Or maybe an Inferno has been something which they've been playing even when they had MSL on the team. It's a map that
depends on the rationale from North, really. Like when you're looking at like Ents, for example, you know, the numbers on Inferno haven't been great for Ents in the big picture, but then seeing them how they played against Vindigo this tournament look a lot better. There we go. It's going to be that Inferno pick, so they do feel comfortable approaching that.
They get to start on the CT side, right, North on this first map coming into things. So if they're able to put up that brick wall like we saw in Nuke yesterday, it could be very positive signs. But going toe-to-toe in the realms of AWPing, right, Alu versus Cadian, they're two older names, I suppose. They're not like the fresh blood of these AWPers by any means. So that'll be an interesting duel to see how that one unfolds. But for me, it's going to be more about the players like X7. Can he be exploited at Ivy when they flip on over to that CT side? Because we saw a little bit of that by Valiance yesterday.
Well, you talk about the AWP in Cadian's hands. I mean, he's also got a much larger role in the big picture there. So that's something also to consider if you really think about it. Guys, I would love to chit-chat some more. I would love to talk about this just a little bit more, but I think you and I, as well as you at home, are ready to get into the action. So without any further ado, let me just ask you guys where you stand on the first map, and then we'll go from there.
I'm going to make this a bit spicy, so I'm going to go with North.
Nice.
You don't even have to ask me, do you?
You know what? I'll say it. Easy for Ents. There you have it. We're going to train yards. It's time to play the damn game. That's right, a best of three right here between North and Ents, ready to kick it off. And you know what? There's two guys that are ready to bring all that to you, and that's going to be Hugo and Harry. Guys, take it away, put us in the game, and let's get her done. There we go.
Yes, thank you very much, Trace. I'm personally still shaking from that last game. The adrenaline's still pumping. But we still have that much more Counter-Strike action to take a look at. North versus Ents, and the winner of this best of three will be locking in that spot at the major, that coveted spot that all these teams are here grinding for.
Yeah, a huge game. Obviously, the loser going down to base Vitality for that second spot here. But this is, it's a real barn burner. 3 maps, Train, Inferno, Dust 2. I don't think we could have had a better veto for this. I think Nuke would have been an interesting one, considering how, obviously, North love to play that. But, you know, I like this one. I think Inferno is going to be probably the most interesting. And I'd love to know where you're leaning, Harry. I'm personally jumping on the Ents train myself.
I mean, I think there's a way that you can't not jump on the Ents train, especially not when you have Nartino in your ear telling you all these great things about Ents, how ready they are, how prepared.
Gun to your head, of course.
Yeah, there's that as well. That's a big somebody help. But obviously, we're getting ready to head on into this one, Hugo. And I mean, we just saw a grueling 3-map series. I'm hoping this one could try and stand up to that, try and live up to it. On paper, certainly looks like it can.
Yeah, we have some real talent in the server. I mean, especially let's talk about some of the players to look out for in this game. Right now, the top 3 players of this entire tournament are in the server. That being Valdi, Alu, and Aerial. Valdi sitting top in terms of stats, and he has had an unbelievable run so far here in Katowice. And I mean, we even saw Aerial on this map yesterday, Harry, just tearing people apart over on train. So I'm excited to see a little bit more of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to bring up, right? Aerial, he's been having a damn right, just stellar performance within this ENCE roster. As you say, Arlu up there with him. These 2 players both actually rated above the likes of ZywOo thus far at this event.
Although I imagine that not surely changed since that previous.
Yeah, I mean, you hope it has, right? But up until now, up until that previous game where maybe it all got called into question, they have been 2 of the top-rated players. As you said, the only other man who steals the top spot away is Valde, who's over on the side of North. So it really is the clash of the titans here in this server. Pissed around and away. North over on that CT side. Let's not forget, obviously, this is the map pick of ENCE, so North got to choose the side, rather. ENCE. Very fast play in towards this A-bomb site. 3 players in through Ivy, and AZ's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, but slow. Bomb going down, and North don't even want to contest it. They'll just fully wrap around. This is interesting. Taking a bit of a different approach, as they don't want to fight from the connector. It's Cadian flanking around Pop, but that is going to be covered right now by Sergey. And here's the wrap from the CT spawn with 4 players as well. Alu, great position to cut this off, and jumping shot from AZ. We know he's good with the pistols, but that is unbelievable. The trade from Aerial will keep things intact for ENCE as the bomb already starts to half-tick. Sergey finds himself another kill, and at this point, North are going to need some quick frags if they want any chance of winning this round. There's a kit and a smoke on Kiebi, and he needs to jump on that bomb right about now, but he's low HP. The spam through the smoke from Alexi B, and Sergey will even finish him off. So looking a little unrealistic for North, and Sergey with a massive start to this map. 3 kills from him, defending the bomb and picking up the pistol for ENCE.
And getting off to a good start on their map pick as well, most notably over on that T side, gives you a chance to kind of hit the ground running, build up a bit of momentum. Over on the slightly tougher side. One of the things I'm looking forward to is the AWP duel between Arlu and Cadian.
And Cadian actually played really, really well yesterday. He was on the top performance for North alongside Valde, having a lot of crucial rounds in their match to get them here in the upper bracket final.
Crazy thing about that was, if you recall, it was Cadian versus ZywOo on those AWPs, and Cadian actually was the top performer in the server and for North, constantly able to best ZywOo in those heads-up fights. Now, admittedly, that was after that kind of grueling game over on Nuke, if you recall, and from the back of it, they didn't really look like the same team, certainly not the same looking ZywOo. So maybe not the best player to benchmark Cadian against just due to the circumstances, but if he can keep that up, return to the form we saw him hit just the other day, then they can give ENCE a run for their money, most definitely. This round though, 5 players stacked up over towards that A-bomb site. Now leaving, looking to try and do a little bit of damage. Aren't too keen on giving away money. Arlu is going hunting with this Mac-10, and obviously him being the AWP, any kill he can get is going to be worth its weight in gold when it comes to being allowed to pull that AWP out early on for the side of ENCE.
I do like this little stack, though, towards a spawn for North. Now we're going to start to veer into the side to try and catch a few ENCE players, and with that spot going down, ENCE will fully know that this stack is going to be here. Alu met with a lot of CTs, but hey, 2 kills, that's not too bad. Alexi B has also got an SMG to dive in for a little bit more. Just has to worry about that close-cornered player. Valdi waiting for a knife. X7's run right past him, and Valdi's actually killed Alexi B in the process, but it won't matter too much. ENCE get away with a couple of guns. Valdi's finished off at the end of the day. And that will be that 2-0 start for ENCE. So North now coming in with the early buy. We do not have that AWP to note as well. Of course, we're going for the 3rd round CT buy after losing pistol. So North not going to have the money for everything they would have liked. Not full utility on all these players either, or even the kits to note. Not a single one bought up. Definitely could come back to haunt them, but let's see. Alu's on his own AWP into the first rifle round as well. So excited to see what North can do to shut that down. It's Alexa B to start things off with some aggression out through Olaf. Gates here, and that's a great flashbang, fully blinded. Alexa B didn't know what hit him. A truck. As Gade looks for a second kill, he may as well find it. It's Ents rotating around towards the B site, a bit of a desperation play with their last 3 players. And Valdi, oh, look at this spot. This is not a common position, and they will not expect it. Death reigns from above, and he'll find one. Sergey with a trade, but a 1-on-4 ahead of him. A little too much to ask for.
Oh, has managed to isolate that fight with Cadian. Now pushing forward, AZ almost offers himself up. The trade's there, the defuse will come in, and North, yes, they cement their first on the board in this rifle round. Or carried forward by Gade. Ents, do you manage to get the bomb down? You can see the distribution of cash is a little bit scary, but they can still field the buy here. Sergey can go ahead and drop weapons over X7, can make that decision to drop the AWP. So we will have 4 rifles in play. On the back of that, you imagine they do decide to go for it, try and keep the pressure on. You don't want to let North start to accrue too much money over here on the CT side. It's not too often we see the double AWP come out from this team, but they still can field it.
Halu even getting the AWP. That's going to cost him an extra rifle, so Ents is still double deeging this one. Still dangerous, but not what they would have liked. Daisy, he's going to spot these players going deep into the pop dog. Now, the reason being is because Alu couldn't get out into main to actually cover them because of the early nades thrown by North. Deny him entry and allow AZ to get into position. Sergey spamming, bit of damage, but he'll lose his head through the wall, in fact. Now we have these T's up in T-Con ready to peek out to try and trade, but Gade's on the angle, and Alu, this is a difficult shot to hit when Gade's already scoped in. It's going to slow peek this because he's already scoped in with his own AWP. And there it is. Kiebi comes from above and finds the kill instead. Now Gade's going to be tasked with another one, and he will find it. Great start to North in this round, not allowing Ents to bounce back with their own reset with their rifles. It's 2 players left up now on the Finnish squad. And they need to try and do some damage, try and take some guns away from North. They've got the time for that, but winning this round, surely unrealistic.
Both these players just so far apart, going to struggle to trade off of one another. Gade continuing his good form, and X7 getting a little too well acquainted with that Molotov, and the noise made means Cadian sprays on through and is easily able to pick that up. North now tying that scoreline 2-2. No money friends means that the Danes here can look to try and take an early lead over Ents on their map pick. Big start from Gade here for North. Not usually the man that we kind of see stepping up or expect to see, you know, topping the charts. But the fact that he is doing so well early is a bit of a worrying sign of the times, perhaps, for Ents.
Yeah, this double AWP coming straight out on the boost in the connector. I like that as well. It's from the open side, so AZ can watch team aim while he gets boosted up instead of delaying his peak. Line up from Gade with 2, but it is only Glocks across the board here from Ents, so there's only 1 frag coming through. 3-2 to North. They take the lead nice and early on. Ents do have a buy to come back in with, though, and they can drop over the AWP, but it's a bit of a mess because X7 would have to go not only without head armor, but also without utility. And so they won't decide to do it. They'll just go for the flat rifles. Probably the better decision to make. You want those nades. We are already days. North still holding on to this double AWP. If Ents are going to be able to get themselves onto the B site nice and early on, North would have a bit of a tough time retaking. So already set up outside that site with 3. The bomb's there as well. And Valdi, a smoke to elude Ents to maybe give them the illusion that he's pushing up, and in fact it's not an illusion, it is in fact a fact. Valdi gone all the way up, he's going to get shot in the back after 1, and great trading from Alexia B will open up this B site. The Heaven player dead. It's AZ left to try and hold this off, and he does go ahead of the Molotov into another, and blanketing this bomb site with fire as the plant comes in.
And this is where that double AWP in the retake is really going to start to hurt you. He will struggle to find much, and yeah, this is where that save call looks to come in. It's such a heavy investment from North. We know, and we've seen from Cadian, he's a big fan of taking the more passive approach. He likes to keep the money in good order, likes to have all the trimmings with his buy. So Ents going to be able to pick up a 3rd. Fantastic stuff from Alexia B. By the way, that flick was nuts. You see his head's on a swivel. He pivots around and is able to somehow deal with Gade. You see the idea there between Valda and Gade, as you say, they throw that smoke down close. Valder tries to maneuver around it, only manages to get one. He does drag the attention away from Gade over at Upper. But Alexa was just too fast for North.
Yeah, I don't think Valde expected them to kind of just forget about the smoke and walk past. I think he was expecting a lot more attention down the ramp due to that. And as a result, I think Gade was supposed to be the player to really step up there. But, you know, they were so focused on Gade's position. They were so ready for that possibility. Quick flash out from Ali to allow them to get into the A site. We've got this deep push up B halls again, but AZ through the smoke. Nice start off. It's actually from the connector rather. Kievi's going to get one from a player emerging through the smoke on E-Box, and now it is that B push. Gade overwhelmed and unable to keep this man advantage. Will lead Ents into the B side. The leg, and finally finished up by AZ as well. That's just Sergey left. Molotov at that feet, but Sergey going to get the bomb plant in. Still 2 ops left for the retake. This is definitely doable, but Molotov on him as well. There's no smoke to put that out if he can get back up the ramp.
Yeah, just one way in which he could try and create some room for himself. A real chance. Does manage to pick off the first man. Pressure's on. No one flanking round. Does mean that had he isolated one more of those fights, there's a very real chance. AZ was only on 4 HP. He had the Molotov, as you pointed out. So even if he isn't able to survive, if you just drop that on the bomb, that would have been enough.
No! Oh! The gun! The orbs dropped between the trains. Now he might not even get his gun. Oh, he just gets an AK. That AWP fell down the corner of the map. Maybe if you had a nade, you could force it out, but none left. That's awkward. That's a big gun lost.
Yeah, AZ wishing he had magnets for fingers. Sadly, that's, well, needless to say, not the case. It's going to be a 4th for North, regardless. And they actually won't make the decision to reinvest into that double AWP setup, instead just playing with the rifles. The AUG out in full force. We know how strong this can be. Alexa B's been able to get up and past AZ. The trade's going back and forth very quickly in this round, as it's a blistering pace set by Ents as they try and secure this A bomb site. Gade is here, joined up by Katie and over towards Ivy, now reinforced by Valde. In connector, Valde and Gade looking to try and play off of one another. Maybe swinging a little too wide. He did spot the players down here towards his Ivy position, so I'm surprised at how much of an impact Sergey's having and seemingly going unchecked. Cadian, a 1v3 required. 2 players are tagged low, but with the AWP in hand, it's far from ideal.
Good play from Ents to not just rush to pick up that bomb and try and get a plant in. They have so much time, so use it to your advantage. They hold strong. Look at them still waiting in the same position as they started this round in. And Cadian, who's peering back in, does catch the first man. He knows Sergey was on Ivy. Oh, but the timing, he just looks away as Sergey finds the kill. 4 frags taken from the young Finnish player. 13 and 4 right now, only 8 rounds into the map. That's definitely a good sign of things to come. Now North. They may have reset Ents in the previous round, but it's going to go both ways. They get hit with a bit of an economical curveball. $1,400 on the loss bonus, but it's still going to be a buy. They have plenty of money. It just means in the future they could be down on an eco if they lose the follow-up. I mean, it kind of goes both ways at this point. They do have that double AWP though. That's going to prohibit one of these players from getting dropped over. I assume that we would only have 1 AWP and therefore allowing for 4 rifles, but Gade's going to take a shotgun. So I can imagine we're going to see him in Pop Dog, maybe close B ramp, doing a bit of an Oscar play style. One thing I will note as well, it's great to see how fast Alexa B consistently gets out into Olaf in this map. We saw Gade earlier on challenging it, very aware of that factor. North need to stay on top of that because Alexa B likes to abuse his fast spawns to get out into that A site.
Well, this time it's looking like it could just be a bit of a change of pace once more. Cadian going aggressive here, looking to try and use his AWP like a shotgun, and then Gade actually is armed with a shotgun down in Pop, could look to try and lend a bit of a helping hand. This shot from Cadian, so hence we'll be counting their lucky stars that this man advantage wasn't taken early on. Smoke's gonna fall down at the ramp, and that will hold back these Finns for the time being. You can see X7 is elsewhere on this map, lining up smokes and flashes in towards this A-bomb site. That's to try and keep the attention of North here, keep these 3 players from rotating early, and it has worked. Valde spotting these guys pouring into the site now, is able to drop the bomb and hops down. Cadian deals with Aerial as he manages to get behind Valde. So ENCE, they've got no one left inside of the bomb site, and one by one the Finns are falling. Sergey and X7, the clutch is cooling. Sergey falls, and that leaves one man standing between North and another round here on their CT side, and this is a very big ask of X7. Might just elect to back off and hold on to this AWP.
Yeah, because we talked about it. The money tipping point for both teams. Whoever loses this round is going to be, well, out of pocket. So this AWP is going to make a very big difference when it comes to holding on to it. These last 5 rounds now being all different victors, very back and forth, which typically can hurt the CTs more than the Ts, but North have come out on top because they had a 3-round streak so early on in this map. His double up is held for yet another one and 2 orcs as well, so a very clean round from North, an important note. Now if you're ENCE, what do you really do here? I mean, the money's a bit skew if you could just go for 1 standard eco and have a little bit more in the next round, but there's always going to be some players that struggle, especially X7 who just saved the AWP and therefore didn't get that loss bonus. So really, wouldn't surprise me to just see a couple of rifles thrown over and give that AWP to Alu, try and get some opening kills.
Well, a couple of early things worth mentioning is that AZ might not be top in the charts in terms of kills right now. He's certainly having a good performance and is 5-1 in opening duels for his team.
Damn. I mean, that's just a testament to the amount of rounds that North have had a man advantage.
This time he's not able to continue padding that stat, building this legacy, at least not just yet. He does have this AWP situated, keeping an eye on main. Instead it's Gade to go ahead and find the opener. He drops Aerial, and this time around, ENCE, while they've usually been pretty keen at trading these, that trade can't come through. Ali knows that if he tries to go any further around that corner, he's opening himself up to a lot of angles, and with this double AWP set up from North, that is something he cannot afford to do. Does manage to get across. Alu really does have to do God's work here. Oh. If ENCE want to try and find an opener towards that A-bomb site. In the meantime, sneaky Kirby looking to try and slither on up through Ivy, get so much information from this. He's cleared out all of main, all of this portion of the A-bombs that the rotations to be should look to come through any second now, and indeed they will. Valde holds his own with the first, and Cadian here to pluck these targets with the AWP at range.
Oh, that smoke confused Ali for a second there. Offset his aim a little bit because it bounced, and he misses the follow-up shot. That might cost ENCE the round. The flank is already in, and Kirby's taken the kill. Ali down and North up with another round. 6-4 here on the CT side. Both AWPs held as well. North have been doing a very good job of keeping a lot of players alive on these rounds that they have won, despite them not necessarily being the most beneficial situations. Again, another retake with 2 AWPs. But they get it done. And now the money, well, it's gone for ENCE. They've got to go for a standard eco. Maybe a couple of deagles here as they give North away a 7th on the CT side. But it's not too bad at the moment. We are early days, and 4 rounds on the T side is a good start to the map. North definitely here to play, though. Bit of attack timeout from ENCE as well. That will be running dry as we get back into things.
Worrying prospect for me right now is Sergey. He's gone off to a just blistering start. Fantastic from him. It's the rest of the gang that we usually see stepping up around in that supporting cast. You think back to yesterday, one of the real defining players for ENCE across both maps was Aerial. He was the man always finding these openers, especially on train. Still yet to hit the ground running with the same furiosity as we saw the other day. Double Molly going to go ahead and heat things up for Alu. Ooh, yeah, this round looks to be another clean one for North. Just Alu and Aerial left standing. Not expecting too much from them. The real focus going to be on that buy that's coming up in this following round. They do have that 3-round loss bonus built on up. So they're going to have plenty to work with into the next. This one, any damage they can get is a little bonus. Gade gets a little bit timing, but it doesn't matter because he still managed one. Trade is there from Aerial. That's all he's going to be able to muster. So North up 7-4. And that was my big question mark. There is money for the AWP, and we know that Alu is someone who is more than willing to just don that glass cannon, so he's going to go ahead and do that.
A good sign, I think, is right now everyone on North seems confident and good individually, right? We have a couple of lax players on the end side of things, and yes, they are 3 rounds behind. They are on the T side, but North just don't seem fearful to take these gunfights. Even look at Cadian at the end of that round, just chasing with the P250, making sure that last player could not grab the AUG. So it's a bit worrying, friends, if there's no weak spot that you can abuse on this side of North. Hazy's even on a bit of a different angle as well. It's going to be hard to predict that. He's got a spot towards T-Con. He can catch anyone that gets boosted on that plat. But he also gets to watch the Pop Dog from a bit of an off angle that won't usually be checked. However, it will be above the smokes if Ents go for an execute. Right now, just establishing an early default. No commitment at all. They've not got yet control of Pop Dog. They've barely pressured Ivy with only one player there holding onto all of his nades. And Kiebi is going to push up a little bit. So X7 has to remain aware of that on the other side. There's the pressure in Pop Dog that will force Gade into the open. Kiebi's going all the way in, but it's a dink. 1 HP. You hate to see it.
Oh, you most definitely do. Kiebi going to be screeching to his teammates. He's lit down towards Ivy, but...
What's he's lit in Danish?
I don't know.
Well, he's finished off anyway. The nade lands from Cadian. X7 even got out of Ivy there. And now ends 30 seconds left. Back to the B site. Valde fully blinded. And he actually lets a man pass. He didn't realize that Sergey dropped and the flashbang came through. So there's a free kill. That bomb has made its way all the way down towards B as well. But it's yet to cross from the Grey train. Finally, that coming through. Scary with no smoke, but it will be planted. And now Gate getting another frag opens up this retake.
Ooh, Alu, very, very quick. Cadian plays a game of peekaboo and he emerges victorious. It will just be AZ left standing. Spots the player inside of the bomb site, but too many bodies here. This flank round from Aerial looks to try and deny that AWP getting saved, and it will. So while the double AWP setup is available for North again here, they have to make that decision. Do they want the extra utility, the extra kits, or do they want to focus on bringing that double AWP back into play?
Yeah, it's only proven to be an issue on that B site, right? That's the only time where these AWPs have not been too beneficial for North on those retakes. Other than that, when it comes to these A pushes, yeah, these double AWPs are definitely a bit of a saving grace. So North have to make that decision. We've already got Cadian obviously going straight for his, but I don't know if there's a second. I think actually AZ did get one, so we might have that double AWP once again. And no, actually it's 4 rifles, so probably the safe bet from North. You've got plenty of capable riflers. AZ's going to be absolutely fine on that M4. And North really have embraced the AUG meta on this map, more so than many other teams. 3 of them on the CT side into this round. As their tactical pause runs out, they'll be back into things and starting to find their groove on this terrorist half, it seems.
Yeah, the opportunity to reset here, although it becomes a pretty big swing round. Neither team with really too much money, and that does become an issue if you're Ents, because the idea of buying in the next is a tricky prospect, let alone having the AWP. There's a triple peek at B. AZ, Molotov'd out from Pop, makes the decision to take the fight, maybe trying to go off the element of surprise. Sadly for him, Alexabi did not seem too surprised. If anything, he seemed overjoyed that someone would offer themselves up the ladder like that.
It's Still a great reaction play though from ENCE. They spot 3 on B and they instantly burst down the pop dog and go for a fast A play with the bomb down. I mean, North can't even go for this one. So the triple B ramp peak is a cool idea to get yourself a pick, but you know, when you're playing against a pro team, they are just going to rotate instantly, so...
Well, you say that, right? But that's where that kill onto AZ becomes so much more important. If there's a player in Pop Dog who's able to actually delay that, buy some time for these rotations to come in, then it could have been a very, very different round. The only reason they're allowed to rotate so quickly into A, because the bomb was over towards that B bomb site, is the fact that they can rotate down through Pop Dog. So suddenly that push up the ladder from AZ is more than just giving away a man advantage. You've also allowed for that rotation to come in and somewhat shot yourself in the foot.
Definitely. Not going to be too happy about the outcome of that, but they do at least have 3 guns saved. 7-6, this T side is starting to get a little bit too hot to handle for North. But they do buy up here. A couple of limitations, but this is still decent. They have that AWP that has been a real make or break gun as well on this CT side. Only one player on B this time, and that is Cadian peeking down the ramp once again. Surely they won't do it again, ENCE. As the early peek comes through, and boy does it work. Anything you can do, we can do better. Double peek from ENCE, and they find the initial frag.
ENCE not keen on letting North get away with something like that twice in a row. Now Cadian full, and he's just going to have to try and lead his team to victory from beyond the grave. Easy just dodging that nade. ENCE looking to try and toy with control of Pop once more. AZ hasn't given up that he's here. They didn't hear the nade tag anyone either. Dodges that flash, now peeks on the back of it, but Alexa, it's a very awkward angle for AZ to fight into. He has at least tagged him up, and that there is Gade dropping the bomb, finishing off what AZ started. Molotov into the pop, and a wraparound from Kjaerbye looking to come on in, but that relies on Valdet buying time. That's the bomb dropped. Kjaerbye running shoes on. Let's hope he's quiet as he tiptoes on in, and they've got no clue. Alu back turned. Kjaerbye biding his time in with one, but Sergey trades. And ENCE tie this up 7-7. As we approach the last round of this first half, the money for North somewhat petering out. And the prospect of a decent buy in this round is really not there for them. Cadian can buy up a rifle, but he's going to be the only man graced with that. Rest down and onto the pistols. Gade going to be securing a FAMA. Certainly not ideal on these longer avenues that we find on trade. One upside is all that utility that they have been able to purchase as a result of going for these pistols. You can use that to try and narrow down some of these angles, deny Alu as much range with that AWP, close that gap. Just as I say his name, he strikes and picks up the man advantage for ENCE.
Cadian's still close as well. He's trying to watch for this Olaf position, but ENCE is still taking their time despite this man advantage, not necessarily overstepping or over-chasing, but there's the Warman coming in from Alexa B. That's going to be an early kill down through the pop dog. The Molotov forced AZ back into the hands of his own demise. Cadian's given away his position as well, and he is all that stands between ENCE and an 8th round on the half. And you know exactly where he is, and there's 4 players left up, so no chance for Cadian. 8 rounds on the half for ENCE. They definitely recover that from a strong start from North, and they will be leading heading into their CT side. Let's see if they can continue to dominate on their map pick after the break. Ents are out to play here in the train yard. 8 rounds on their T side of the first map of this best of 3, and North now a little bit on that back foot, but let's see how they can recover as we head into number 2. Fast nades on the yard already going through, and North, they'll all be going for that A execute, it seems.
Actually, Ali's already been dinked down low, gooshed by the Glock. The bomb is over here towards B, and Sergey, I don't think he quite saw it. They've changed their mind. They're back towards Pop Dog. They're unsure. We're unsure. And damage done onto Aerial. He's going to go back and tries to take the fight. Will come up short. Valde, double kill on the entry. AZ tapping down another. Alexa B joined up now by Sergey. Back-to-back brothers in arms, and the bomb dropped over at the sandwich. Alexa B, so many angles to keep an eye on, and while he does land a nice shot onto Gade, he would have needed 3 more to cement that round. So North finding the pistol here to kickstart this second half, as they throw Ents into disarray.
Yeah, they may have forced those early rotates down towards B, but Ents were one step ahead in terms of rotating back into that A site. The issue was the full smoke execute from North kept them out of that connector, or at least kept them behind the bomb train. From that point, North are able to convert, and very heavy rifle buy into round number 2 as well, as Ents are on that full eco. Looking for the 3rd round purchase here. Fast Ivy play from 3. With the bomb in tow as well, North are going to be creepy crawling their way up to this A site. Ents, meanwhile, stacked up on B, but already beginning to rotate through that connector, so they're about to work out that this North push is coming right into their face. Cadian's going to be able to find the kill. Aerial getting dropped as well, and North guaranteeing their round here for number 9. They are, of course, waiting for that follow-up buy, so this is just a bit of a
Welcome to the Acer Predator pre-show.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Acer Predator pre-show here for the Asia Minor as we move further and closer to the major itself. It's time to see the best teams from this region and see what they can deliver this time around. My name is James Banks and I am your host. And joining me, as always, is the beautiful pimp and the Asian man himself, the guy who's been covering this region for the longest time, Blair. And I know you're excited to be here.
I'm pretty excited. It's my my hometown voice again, so to speak.
Hometown?
Yeah. It's a very different Counter-Strike from the Danish Counter-Strike you used to pimp. You know what I'm looking forward to the most is over the duration of the next 5 days, watching Pimp's mind deteriorate over time, where he's just like just a goo on the desk at the end of it.
I'm here to learn. I think it's going to be interesting. There's a lot of players and a lot of teams we don't necessarily see too much within the spectrum of international top Counter-Strike, but we get to see them here now battle it out for a major spot. So I expect them to come in hot and blazing. You know, this is their major. This is the biggest thing they can play. So if they don't play up to a certain level, I would say that's disappointing. But I expect them to come in here hot, fire and blazing, and it should be interesting to see some new names, you know, hopefully make their way through the major circle.
Well, this is one thing, right? Me and Blair started with this. This is where we began our little esports journey of commentary and doing stuff like this. This region at least delivers in crazy skills. And the Aussies, they're starting to kind of put themselves up to the upper echelon of where we see CS going in general. But most importantly, we are here to see if anyone is going to turn the tides and upset the balance, right? With Tyloo no longer being here, Blair.
Yeah, that is a big story, right? Usually every Asian Minor, the running joke is it's got to be Renegades and Tyloo. Who's going to win? It's going to be the grand finals with those two guys. Tyloo did manage to maintain a slot in the major. They're going to be, they're not playing the minor this time around, so there is an extra slot. Everyone assumes Renegades to go through, but now Grayhound, this is the great opportunity, right? There's no Tyloo to stop them. It should be on paper these two Aussie teams going through, but then you have Cyberzen, you have VG Gaming. These are veterans. Almost, I think this is the first minor where each team has at least a couple of players who have played in the previous minors. All of these guys have experience. Even the Israeli team, they played last in the Faceit minor, if I'm not mistaken, right? So they have a lot to play for. Yeah, you might be like, yeah, it should be Grayhound going through, because let's be honest, on paper they have been great so far. They have had the best results. But then I don't think you should count on the likes of MVP, the likes of Cyberzen, the likes of VG, even the Thai teams. You know, anything could happen.
And I think that's the fair storyline to follow. The fact that they have experienced all of these teams. We come in here, we say that we don't know too much about them necessarily. It's not teams that we see play against European opposition or any opposition for that matter too often. But the fact that they all have some sort of experience and they have been here before is interesting, you know, and it's going to be great to see which one of these teams can take up the fight against Renegades. I wouldn't be necessarily too sure that it's just going to be a clear-cut victory for Renegades. I think when it comes to the minor, when it comes to qualifying for a major, there's always a different kind of pressure on. So we could see some of these teams make an upset and make it, at least make Renegades have a rough run for the money.
Well, let's hope we get some of them Big Dick Stacy stickers, because that's what we're looking for from this, if they can make it through. But let's take a look at the groups and who is going to be facing off against who early on here, starting with Group A. Blair, take us away.
Yeah, this is an interesting group, considering the fact that, at least in my books, the two best teams in this minor are going to be fighting it out from this particular group, right? This is the group of that in my books. Acres Club. So let's talk about Renegades and Grayhound. The two Renegades, obviously, the minor champions, the current minor champions, if I'm not mistaken. They are obviously the favorites to not just get out from this group, but to win the entire thing altogether, right? Grayhound will be the second team to come out of here. We have Dick Stacey, we have Malta, Dexter, very experienced players in the Australian scene. Also, I think right now the best Australian team, purely Australian team, apart from Renegades, of course. Cyberzen. Now, this team consists of Savage, TB, two veterans. They played the first 3 Asian minors, and they haven't been seen in the past 3 ones, so it's great to see them back. They've teamed up with some pretty interesting talent in the Chinese scene. We have a player called Bottle, who has been a player I've been keeping an eye out for. He's been great. He was particularly great in Star Ladder, even though the team kind of failed. And Aquas Club, they're the underdogs here, let's be honest. They're from Israel. However, they do contain a couple of players who played in the Faceit minor, where they did take down 5 Power, but then again, 5 Power had 3 stand-ins in that minor, so how much can you really read into that, right?
And that's the thing, right? How much can you actually read into these teams before you get to see them play at this certain minor? That's again why I think this is going to be a great storyline to follow. We haven't seen them play that much, so it's going to be interesting to see how they progress. Whereas if you look to Group B, you said Group A was the group of death. Group B is not necessarily bad either. You have a team like VG Gaming, you have Goosey going up against each other. That should be an interesting matchup just because of the unknown factors coming into that one. I would assume VG Gaming are the favorites. They are a more established team within the Asian region. They've been there for quite some time. And the other matchup, you have Beyond Esports going up against MVP PK. That's also going to be an interesting one, because MVP PK, at least what I sense around this team, is that that's a team that should be performing better than they are right now. It's a team that has potential, but we haven't seen them sort of like flourish that potential online yet. We've seen them in glimpses online. We see them in glimpses on lane, but we haven't haven't seen them come in with the full package, so to speak, and play up to their absolute best. So can they put up that level? You know, we may even have a very competitive group here in Group B as well.
Well, I'm old as hell, right? And I'm going to be really biased here to the MVP boys because two of them players in Glow and Solo, even I was playing against back in the day. So that shows the kind of legacy of these guys. Yes, a very long time ago, Pim. But overall, right, these two regions, and this is how these groups kind of work out, right? It can be quite crazy when we get to the online side of things, but it's the experience on land that we're going to really look towards here.
That's absolutely true. I mean, if you look at MVP PK, like Pim just mentioned, many people are like, oh, they're favorites in this tournament. I don't really think so, because when it matters the most, I think the most recent lands were in the Toyota Bangkok event where they, let's be honest, they sucked there. I'm like, this is an event that should be in the top 3 at the very least. Sure, you had the likes of Heroic playing over there, but this team is supposed to be that competitive, right? So this is a tournament where if they don't at least get in the top 3, I'm going to be very disappointed. I think they're going to be disappointed as well, because like James said, looking at the players, they have Solo, Glow, veterans in Counter-Strike. Solo is the most decorated Counter-Strike player of all time from Asia, across all games, right? So they have a lot to prove here. I'm really looking forward to that particular team.
All right, well, we've got a video here to come off and have a look at a team in a little bit more detail, and it is going to be Grayhound this time around, the best team in the Aussie region, and they're the ones who actually managed to take the first place in their region, beating out Renegades, the one that I'm sure everyone at home knows.
So Australian scene right now is, I will say, still growing. It's not as big as North America and Europe right now, but it's getting there. Like there's a lot of players getting like actual full-time player job in CS. So it's growing slowly. So right now we are getting there. It's still a young scene, but it will get there one day. Right now, to be honest, there's no team I'm afraid of in Asia Minor at least, because, for example, the best team in this Asia Minor is obviously Renegades. And in the Australian qualifier, we beat Renegades in best of 3. It was a really close game. It could go any way, but as far as I know, when you're in-game, it felt like they're not that superior like I thought before, at least for me. So, like, I think it's really doable. There's no team we're afraid of right now.
A confident Grayhound, and I love the fact there, guys, that they straight away say that we're not kind of as scared of Renegades as we were in the past, just because of the result and the fact that maybe they're not this unbeatable object, right? That there's always kind of held off on this scene.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to how good Grayhound think they are themselves, right? I think Grayhound is a very prominent team within the Australian region so far. I think it's a team that has the potential to be the new Renegades, so to speak, you know, to rise up and be a constant force to be reckoned with. They're not there yet, obviously. They haven't really had the results to put that prodigy on them, but it's a team that is on the rise, and I think Renegades would be afraid of facing them. I think any team should be afraid of facing Grayhound in their banner.
Absolutely. That's a great thing about watching Grayhound, and particularly these Australian teams and talk about Asian teams. We don't see them that often, but when they do have an opportunity, especially the Australians, they always deliver. And bear in mind, Renegades did take away one of their players a few months back, and they pick up a new player and they beat them. So I think that's a pretty interesting storyline we have going here.
Well, these storylines will unfold very soon, guys. That is it for our pre-show as of now. But when we come back after a short break, we'll be bringing you the pre-match where we're going to be looking at Grayhound taking on Cyberzen. Will they stumble at the first hurdle, or will they make it through with a bit of plain sailing? It's time to find out.
The champions of ESL 1 Cologne.
Do you remember?
Welcome to the Cathedral of Counter-Strike.
Think you've seen it all?
Are you ready to be a part of Counter-Strike history?
ESL 1 returns to Cologne in 2019.
Think you can't capture a clutch in full resolution while streaming the play to the world? Watch this. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7.
to thrive under pressure in the most hostile conditions and built to overclock. Prepare for combat. Go forth and conquer.
I've been there since the beginning. Every map, every frag, every moment. I run, but I never hide. With knowledge comes power, and power is to be wielded wisely. Which is why, as the expert, I bet with Betway. If you know CSGO, then you'll know the best way to bet on esports is with Betway, for the love of the game.
Vodafone presents the pre-match.
In our first Vodafone pre-match of the day, we're going to be looking at Grayhound, the #1 team out of their region, beating Renegades, going up against Cyberzen, the #2 team in their region, who lost out to Vici Gaming towards the end of it all. Blair and Pimp are joining me as always, and this is a match which, on paper, could be quite one-sided, but you never know what Cyberzen are going to deliver.
No, and I was just looking at the recent form for both teams coming into this tournament, and by the looks of it, you know, it seems like Cyberzen is coming in blazing hot. They've won the past 5 matches. Best of 5 final, I believe, against a equal Chinese team, and they also won a few best of 3s. Where if you look towards Grayhound, they've lost a few matches as of late. So it's a Grayhound that is coming in a little bit, maybe not on top of their game, so to speak. Where Cyberzen, you know, maybe on a cheap notice, but they have actually won the games and have actually showed that they can win and close out series.
Yeah, from a confidence angle, that does completely make sense. But then again, you got to look at the opposition that Cyberzen had in China, and most of these are online games. I'm not very much mistaken. And if for Grayhound, I think the last tournament they played was in Abu Dhabi, the PLG event, where they really bottomed, but they lost a Scream and Docs mixed team, something you really shouldn't lose. You also lost a Tyloo as well. And in the meantime, for Cyberzen, sure, you know, they've had some pretty good results online, but you got to remember Starladder, even though they bombed out, they did win 1 game, and that was against Renegades on LAN as well.
Online?
Well, let's look at this Grayhound roster in a little bit more detail, right? Well, we're going to bring up Cyberzen. The producer can just change up what he wants last minute. Let's continue with these guys. Like you said, Bottle, right, is one of those players we have to look out for from being just a completely insane aimer. Then we've also got TB in there, HG, Savage, and Viva.
Yeah, the interesting thing, of course, the 2 players here would be Savage and TB. They're playing the 4th Asian minor. These guys have been legends in Counter-Strike, so to speak, right? Savage and TB used to play back in the day against like the likes of a Fnatic, against Karn and DSN and Forest and Get Right back in the day. These are very tenured players, so to speak, very experienced. And then you have 8Z and you have Viva. These are the more... HG's been around for a while as well. It's more of a support player, not a star player. Same with Viva. But Bottle, this guy stood up. In Starladder, when this team kind of failed, I would say, even though they had that 1 win against Renegades, this guy really impressed me, and he's been the star player so far in this team.
Now, looking at this Grayhound roster, the first thing I want to say is, what the hell's happened to Dick Stacey's hair?
I mean, it got cut off for some reason.
Well, you know, you do like to, trim your hair in certain parts of your body, right? So
you gotta trim it all to be ready and lean. That's how it works, Blair.
You gotta go in hard, yeah.
You gotta go in hard. You got Exide, you got Dick Stacey, you got Dexter, you got Sterling, you got Malta on this team. I think it's an interesting team, so to speak. I think it's an interesting prospect, you know, because we have been talking about them being the next big thing within Australia, right? They were being poached by Renegades. They lost 2 of their players, you know.
They only lost Gratisfaction.
Sorry,
but still a star player.
The star player of the team, the AVP player of the team. So they're being poached, you know. It's one of those scenarios where I can relate to it myself when I was playing in Dignitas, you know. All the time that Astralis, the TSM back in the days, needed a player, they would always come to us, and they tried to steal AC back in the day. They tried to steal KGB and actually successfully did as well. So it's one of those scenarios where you have a team that is sort of fostering the talent to the top dogs, and I think Grayhound is looking to end that during this minor. I think they're looking to come in here and make a statement that they can be just as good, if not better, than Renegades, and that's what I want to see from them, not only against Cyberzen, but throughout the entire minor. When you look at these players, when you look at the names, when you look at the Prodigy, and when you look at the results they have been given so far, it's a team that has potential. We just haven't seen it. I would say we haven't seen it consistently enough. We haven't seen it consistent enough to be saying that this is a team that's going to go all the way and qualify for the major for certainty. This is a team that's going to be tested, and I think Cyberzen is a great way to do it in the first match.
Well, this is it where they can't afford to fail it when it is going up against a team like Cyberzen, right? It's time for them to prove themselves, and it's time to see how this veto is going to go down as well, boys, and where we might end up. And in the best of 1, truly anything can happen.
Yeah, in the best of 1, that's the thing. Cyberzen are a very dangerous best of 1 team, and for Grayhound, they should be just trying to, just stick to their strengths, right? Take out the maps which you're not comfortable with. They've gone with the Inferno ban early on. I expect Cash and Overpass to be taken out as well by Grayhound, because these are maps that don't usually play that much. And for Grayhound. And for Cyberzen, though, here's the thing. They are very comfortable on Dust 2. It's a map they usually go with. But then again, I don't think they should really go with Dust 2 against Grayhound, because Grayhound, despite not picking it that often, they have a very good record on it, right? It's tricky. That's a problem with Asian and Australian teams. Like, Grayhound are very good at Mirage. They're probably like, we're comfortable in Mirage, but there's a rule. Don't play Mirage against Asian teams. It is ridiculous. Like, they come up with the most ridiculous stuff and can always kind of like turn against you. But then again, that being said, both these teams, like we say, it's the best of 1. It can always be a middle ground map. Both these teams might be like, I'm feeling comfortable. I'm feeling great. Let's go for it. It could be Mirage.
Got to see it for yourself, right there. Cash and Nuke out of the way. Mirage is left in, so if they want to go and steer towards some Mirage, it could be happening, but it's not. As you said, they are, giving giving respect to the Grayhound guys, and I think that's a fair thing to do. We did see a lot of Dust 2 being played out in the CIS minor, the most popular map as well. It could be the map coming in here, and I think it's a map that is okay for both teams. It's a map that offers a lot of freedom, so to speak. You know, the Asian Cyberzen guys can go in there and they can sort of like play that unorthodox Counter-Strike style, you know, where you get those individual plays down and sort of like try to flourish in that. It's not going to happen though. We're going to go to Overpass, which is an interesting map to me, because not necessarily a map that I would, you know, put in a box and say this is a great map for Cyberzen.
Yeah, I think Cyberzen really messed up here, in my opinion. Like, I really think so. I think because Overpass should be a map they should have banned. Yes, Grayhound are not technically really great at that map, but they should have kind of like removed it, because I don't think Cyberzen are good at that map at all, to be very honest. Dust 2, sure. Dust 2, Mirage, these are maps where, sure, Grayhound are pretty good on it, but Cyberzen can do work on them as well. Overpass is a map where I think the only Asian team who does well on it is the Tyloo, to be very honest, right? They're pretty damn good on it, but apart from that, I don't see any Asian team who has really shown me anything impressive so far on this map. I think just looking at that map, I'd be extremely shocked if Grayhound kind of screwed this up.
It's kind of a telling story when you have Grayhound currently, the past 3 months, they won 86% of the Overpass games. That's a pretty sick win record. No, arguably against some of the weaker Asian teams and some of the teams within their own region, but 86% win rate is high no matter where you play.
Yeah, exactly, and it's an impressive stat for them to hold on there. Like you were saying though about Cyberzen, okay, Tyloo is probably the only team that we look at from that region and saying, yes, they can play Overpass, but maybe they took a little bit of inspiration from him. Are we going to reach out and hope that is? Because that really, at that end of that veto, it could have been the other way around, right? With Cyberzen banning out Dust 2 or Overpass, then that was our opportunity, because we knew Grayhound would probably ban Mirage.
Yeah, I think for Cyberzen, the win condition here would be what the previous teams like Tyloo have done in the past in the previous Asian minors against the other Australian teams. We've had teams like Tainted Minds, Chiefs, Immunity, all the second or third best Australian teams apart from Renegades play in Asian minors, and they've always struggled against Tyloo or some of the Chinese teams. And the reason, when I speak to them, like, what happened? They're like, they just did not expect what they did. Like, that's insane. Who pushes like that? And that could be the only win condition Cyberzen have here, because Overpass, let's be honest, Pim, even though it is, let's say, a little city-sided, it allows you a lot of aggression. It's not going to be a sort of like city-side where if you just wait in the site, waiting for Grayhound to execute into your bomb site, you're going to have a rough time there. But if you play aggressive, if you peek and prod, especially on the CD side, if you like pressure them, don't give them much space to work with, that could be what gives them a slight sliver of a hope.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that point, because when you look at Overpass in itself, it's a map that offers, as you said, a lot of aggressive moves. You can go towards A-long with an AVP. You can go to toilets and sort of play that semi-aggressive or full-on aggressive if you want to. You can contest middle in the beginning of the round. You can contest the B areas as well. There's so many different opportunities, not only to be aggressive from the beginning of the round, but do it late in the round as well. And as you said, that's where it becomes very, very tough for a team like Grayhound to control the map. If you're on that T side and you want to make sure you can do your strats and control the map place and all that kind of stuff, but you're kind of facing a team that is constantly putting aggression somewhere on the map, you're going to get disrupted. And that's, as you said, you know, I think that's the biggest win condition for these Cyberzen guys. They need to be very, very assertive, they need to be aggressive, and they need to find the right timings of doing so. One thing is being aggressive, and that's annoying to play against, but if you shut it down, it's also annoying to be on the receiving end, being the aggressive guys, you know, who just not getting it done, basically. But if you can find your timing, if you can find your sort of like visiting hours in that regard, and make sure that you get in there at the right timings and have an idea of when to push and when not to push, that's when Cyberzen can really disrupt the game of Grayhound. And there's nothing worse than facing an underdog team that is disrupting the way you want to play. If you feel you're the better team, but you're not allowed to play your own game, you're all of a sudden being put down on their level, and that's when you have to redefine yourself and figure out another way to win. And that's tough for a team that doesn't have that much experience.
Now, surprisingly enough, right, considering this region, how much they play against each other in qualifiers and things like that, there's no head-to-head here either. So that means, at least from a perspective, we could see something where Grayhound could be caught off guard, right? Cyberzen should be in a position where you can prepare well for this if this was the idea that they got to Overpass.
Definitely, and this is one of the minors that is extra interesting, because we don't see these teams practice against each other either. Grayhound is not located in the same area as Cyberzen, so they're not practicing against each other. Whereas when you go into the European minor, all the teams, or the CS for that matter, or the American for that matter, all of the teams are practicing against each other off the servers, off the records, stuff that people don't see out there. But when you go into the Asian minor, all these teams are spread out during a pretty wide area, and they don't practice against each other. So as blind as we are, as blind as we go into a game like this, where we don't really know what to expect, neither does the teams.
It is so true, though. Just to wrap up what he was saying, Renegades, they play mostly North America, right? They have an NA practice, Grayhound with a local Oceanic practice. The Chinese teams mostly amongst them, but of course they play with a little bit of the Southeast Asian team as well. Katowice, the Israeli team, primarily practicing EU servers against EU teams and EU scrim teams. It's a lot of different styles of Counter-Strike they're going to be meeting here.
Yeah, and this is the thing, right? We speak about this region. It's only when they get through these qualifiers that they can compete against each other, like you guys were saying here. So it is a bit of the unknown coming into it. Is this just a key point where they have to just stick to their game plan, right, and don't kind of go for the countering?
That's the thing, right? They have to stick to their own game plan. They have to believe that they're the better team going into the matches. And I know Cyberzen would think to themselves, all right, we've been practicing for this tournament, we probably feel good, we feel prepared, let's play our own game, you know, and that's going to be a very hyper-aggressive game, whereas Grayhound, they're going to think to themselves, all right, on paper, we're the big favorites, on paper, we got pressure on us now, Tyloo is not here, we're supposed to qualify, we're playing a team we know next to nothing about, we know that they're known for being aggressive, we know they're known for being unorthodox in the way they play, how are we going to prepare for that? We can't, we're just going to play our own game. So it's come down to, you know, which team has the basic fundamentals down and which team can be the most disruptive to each other's game plan.
Yeah, that is true, but I think the one good thing going the way of Grayhound would be the fact that if you look at almost all the players in this team, many of them have firstly have a lot of experience. The coach, Sonic, for example, he played in Atletico. He himself has played in Asian Minor in the past. These guys have the tenure, and they have the firepower as well. Now, we spoke about Bottle being a star player, right? Absolutely. Apart from that, you know, the other two star players are Savage and TB. Both these guys are like, I don't want to bring up age here, but they're like 30 plus. And they've been playing for such a long time. And great, you know what? I think it was the CIS minor, where I forget who it was like, experience is great, but you still need to hit headshots, right? So if your firepower is lacking, it's going to be a problem. Because if you look at Grayhound, they got some pretty good firepower. Erkas especially, he's Mongolian, but he's Australian as well. He has been a star player. He's been, in my opinion, the best Australian player outside of the Renegade squad, and he's been phenomenal. You have Dexter, great in-game leader, and a fragger as well. So even man for man, this team is better. And as long as the pressure doesn't get to them, they should have this in the bag.
Let's see if they do have this one in the bag. Thank you very much, guys. It's time for Overpass. It's time for our first best of one here at the Asia Minor. And it's time to introduce our commentators for the opening games. It's going to be Jason Kaplan and Tom Bismeyer. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Banks. And of course, you guys on the desk with Blah and Pimp. This is going to be, let's just kind of start off with a general sense of how this minor is going to go, because you guys have seen Asian CS. I know Blair as well has actually talked about this quite a bit. I think the general phrase we should use is expect the unexpected when it comes to the matches we're having today and over the course of this week.
Yeah, I think we've still got like a couple of favorites, obviously, going into this one. Renegades have time and time again managed to qualify every single time. Yeah, you can.
Are you on your tippy toes right now? I feel like you got some high heels on. You're just trying to.
I was offered a box, and I was like, do you know what? I'm just gonna accept the fact.
That's good. At least you have some sort of control of yourself. Where Blair, on the other hand, I think they added an extra box, and he's still not nearly as close as Pimp. But sorry, continue with your point.
I don't even know what I was saying. You throw me off the scent, but well,
expect the unexpected with this minor.
I think the second place is still up for grabs. Obviously, all the teams coming into this have had a lot longer to sort of practice, ready for the event. I do find it interesting though that every single time we talk about the idea, these teams are not playing against each other at all. Really, I don't think there's ever been a game between these two teams, and that's always terrifying for me. Because although you can. Like, the idea with Asian teams is everybody knows that they're going to play crazy, but there's one thing of, like, knowing they're going to do it and actually dealing with it. Right. If somebody's running through a smoke at you, like, after a while, you're like, okay, they're not going to do that again. These players will do it again.
And the thing is that these matches are going to be so volatile, considering it's a best of one. You've never played each other before. So for me, it comes down to how good can you be in-game, adapting your strategies and adapting to what the information being given to you, and as well as keeping that focus throughout the entire match at 100%. We're going to be kicking things off with Cyberzen on the CT side and Grayhound Gaming on the T side. It looks like we're going to see a push over towards the upper bomb side, over towards A, or potentially back. It's a pistol round. Who knows? Who knows what to expect from these guys?
Round the world. It's going to be place. Actually, they haven't spotted him out, at least early. He had a few shots to try and get away with it. Savage in the corner as well, and it seems like Dick Stacey's just able to sponge all of those bullets, and the rest of his teammates have done the work. It's pretty much a 2 versus 5 in this situation. Through the wall, though. Okay, TB at least manages to bring this one back, but the fact is still a very long way to go. They don't have a kit currently in the hands of the CT players, and I don't even know how they're getting even any of these kills. They're all through walls at the moment, but unfortunately, I don't think there's anything they can do about the round. It will be 1-0 in favor of Grayhound, and obviously starting off strong over on that T side always going to be an important factor.
Yeah, especially here on Overpass. Get a good early lead for yourself under the belt, but we did have a couple of signs of life out of Cyberzen on the pistol. We had Viva, again, that little flick he had onto the bomb site before he did get dropped was fantastic. But either way, they will be going to the first round. Unfortunately, losing out on that one. They have bought up, though, as you can see, the scout for Viva. I'm curious how Grayhound's going to play this round, though, because obviously you can expect Cyberzen to buy up into this one. So do you play it slow, try to work off picks, try to deny them some easy kills, or do you try to get extra aggressive when they're going to least expect it here?
Yeah, I think especially with the Deagles, you can't really go particularly aggressive. I think that's just more of a hold the angle, hope for the headshot. With the CZ though, I like to see a little bit more aggression. Get up close and personal, use that weapon where it's most valuable. Obviously in this case though, this is where you sort of want Grayhound to slow things right down. Take their time, be patient, and overall like just not risk too much. But as you sort of pointed out, there's still a few smokes here. There's still some sort of utility that can be used to buy a little bit of time, but no incendiaries, so if there is a faster push, you can see them building up outside. It's unlikely they'll be able to do too much.
I like that little peek there, and actually the back away too. Don't go for the challenge. Savage over towards Toxic. Gonna be looking for a couple of shots here, but gonna miss out on the first two. The push is eventually gonna come in. Dick Stacy gonna lead the charge here. Unfortunately, not gonna be able to connect the shots in time, and somehow Savage is gonna be still alive here. The reinforcements have come in. Viva takes down Dexter, and just like that, Greyhound's push has almost been halted.
Yeah, this is problematic, and they can't even retreat. The bomb is down, and the trades are working wonderfully at the moment for the CT side. Malta's left with 15 HP. The chance of him winning this is slim to none. TB, I don't know how it took that long to actually finish him off, but that's a fantastic little round coming out from Cyberzen, and I feel like they just got way too bogged down. How does Savage survive that long as well? No Molotov? That's a really simple grenade. One Molotov into that corner. He's not going to do anything there.
And it's not like Grayhound changed last second, you know, from going A to B. It's not like they were like, all right, well, let's just go B now because we spotted 3 over towards A. It was a B push from the beginning, from the get-go. So you would think a Molotov was something they would have had, right, to clear out that position, especially when they know they're up against the buy up out of Cyberzen. So maybe a little bit of an unfortunate play for them, maybe a little bit of an oversight out of Grayhound. But let's see if they can bounce back here in round 3. Dexter bringing out his own deagle. But it looks like he has paid the price, though, with that nade coming through.
Yeah, already taking a hell of a lot of damage and even going to be finished off by the grenade of Viva. So good start in the round. Again, with the Deagles on this side, you sort of expect the T's just to hold some angles, be a little bit more patient, and somewhat just like hope that somebody takes an aggressive peek into the angle. But obviously you can see now that the side of Cyberzen know that it's pistols, so they're going to be very patient, sit back towards the side, use the rifles where they have that big advantage.
Still can be winnable. You see a couple of smokes and a Molotov Veracast to actually use to get in towards the safe side. Seems like they're poised to go towards this bomb side as well, but we do have that 3-man stack. Smokes now be going in over towards Optimus. I'm going to see the Molotov actually counter them for the initial push in Viva. Actually does a little bit of damage to Sterling. Looks like they might be able to just clean this up with relative ease. Finally, Viva will fall to Malta, picks himself up a double kill, but Bottle Jr. will expect to be an A carry in Malta. What was that? A jumping headshot with the CZ, and just like that, there's a legitimate chance Grayhound can win this round.
This is very messy, but at the same time, it's looking possible. Sterling left with the Deeg, but can't manage to achieve anything that his teammate did. I don't know how he managed to get 3 kills in that round. That's absolutely ludicrous, but either way, quite a bit of damage done. Unfortunately, this is a case where Grayhound sort of have to take the eco. So, okay, great, you've done some damage, you've reduced the economy, but Cyberzen still have the chance now to just build it back up again.
Yeah, very true. I mean, they had a scout as well for Viva, so it's not too big of a loss for him to lose out on that weapon. But realizing, hey, we're definitely going to be up against the complete save out of Grayhound. Let's pick up the SMGs again. Let's go back into this. Let's farm up some money, and then maybe get the op over to Viva into the round coming up. They're going to come through. Now we're going to connect, but it seems like the pace of the Grayhound is definitely quick and swift here, as Viva might get caught off guard and actually might get himself 0 kills.
Yeah, but a bit messy again, and 2 kills, 3 kills coming in for the T side. Again, they're getting away with way too much in these eco rounds. This is worrying when you look at Cyberzen already. Maybe a little bit too aggressive with the weaponry they have. Okay, sure, you do have SMGs. Okay, sure, you're losing not a huge amount to your opponents, but at the same time, this is the round where you're supposed to be building up money. You have 2 players left, and they have a very good chance of getting the bomb down.
And the thing is, I feel like Cyberzen played that relatively well because they had a player rotate in from Connector. The problem was Dexter just hit some fantastic shots in a row to net himself 2 kills with that P250. And Viva as well, like there wasn't really a great crossfire setup, I think, for him to peek around that corner. It eventually did get dropped after only getting the first frag. But I think we're going to see Grayhound actually get the bomb down here. And economy-wise, Tom, like this is massive for them because they could potentially win the round, but let alone just getting the bomb down is going to make things that much easier into round 5.
Yeah, even if they don't win this round, they have a great chance to break in the next.
Oh, that timing.
Spotted though, but I think they should already know. They definitely do now. TB's spotted Dexter for sure, so there may actually be a denial here. The problem for Grayhound is obviously they're checking everything, they're clearing everything. I don't think they're going to have time. I think they're going to get caught as they try and boost. This is just unlucky, really. The timing hasn't worked out for them at all, and just maybe overplaying their hand a little bit. If it had worked out, if they managed to get towards A, sure, it would have been a complete bamboozle of their opponent, but I think like getting the bomb down was a little bit more crucial there.
Just like how I built it up, like, yeah, they can get the bomb down, they can win the round, and then just gets completely shut down there. A little unfortunate. I mean, we did have our share of commentator curses last week, so why not continue them here into week 2 as we're getting into the last week of the minors, actually. We're almost at the point. You know, at the end of this week, we're going to have all of our teams for the majors set up and ready to go.
Yeah, we will. All questions will be answered, and yeah, I think it's definitely going to be very exciting indeed.
You want your stickers for certain player.
I'm on my... Well, to be honest, there's a few I want. Like, TB would be nice. It's my initials. Also, the sort of initials of a lovely disease.
It's the first thing I think of.
Yeah.
Which is...
when you look at me and you
I'm like, yeah,
disease.
Does he have it? No, but yeah, and the funny thing was, you were telling me a story how playing in a tournament over in Asia, and his name was actually like starred out, Dick Stacy. So I wonder if the same thing would happen to the stickers for him.
Yeah, if they would just be, well, I don't know. I'd be interested. I'd be interested to see if how many attempts he'll have to do for his sticker before Valve finally go, yeah, you can have that one.
I want to give you a chance to show people, you know, how punny you are with your gun names, if you're willing to say any of them.
Maybe in an eco round.
Maybe an eco round. Okay.
We're in a buy round, and also. It's awful.
Yeah, they're terrible.
I would spare people a little bit of time, but either way, we got 45 seconds on the clock. It's the T's. They've got the man advantage early on. Bottle goes down, and now it's down to the CTs to try and hold on to things. They've held some utility. That flash is fantastic, though. Blinding 2 still, it's a trade. But look at the amount of damage done to the remaining players as well on the Grayhound side. And they're in, like, full sort of, well, manic mode. They're trying to get back away from the B site. There's still 2 players there. Rotation has already come back from Viva with the AWP, and they've only got 20 seconds left.
They're going to have to commit towards this A-bomb site a few seconds. And Viva actually might have just rotated out at the wrong time. Well, lucky for him, he does get back into the right position. You can see them finally approaching, but 10 seconds left to go. They're going to have to get the pace, and that was a massive kill to Dexter. They needed that to get this bomb down, but can they hold on to the site? After winning the pistol and losing the next 3, this is a must-win round for them.
TB hoping for a little bit more through the wall, but as of yet won't find it. But the peek out from Dexter is enough to hand it into a 2v2. It's just going to come down to 1v1 fights, and Savage wins the crucial one. It's left all onto Mortar again. He was great with the CZ, but has to do a little bit more in this situation, and the retake in the end from the Cyberzen side was good. They will get their 4th round on the board. Grayhound getting a bomb plant, it helps, and they will actually have a bye going into this one.
It helps, but it doesn't give me good life into how they're going to do in this best of 1, right? No. Like, they had an afterplant situation, just like in the pistol round, and things got relatively close then. I do like the way Cyberzen are holding the B site, though. I like this cheeky little peek out of HZ, just to kind of shoulder peek to see if there's anyone there, back away. He's actually keeping them on edge, because in a round prior, he actually completely backed away and went towards short. This round, flashes and gets aggressive with it. So this is really tough for a Grayhound to get, you know, used to, and I feel like that's going to be the story of this minor, is if you can get used to the other team, if you can, again, expect the unexpected. But they are going to go for the force up with the armor. Not the full force, though, as you can see. Just going on the back of pistols, which, again, they were really close in a round prior from getting the bomb down. But this time, Viva, he's going to get aggressive and hit that early shot.
Yeah, good start to the round. They've got to be careful again. Bottle was always over towards long, and it's starting to get a little bit worrying, the amount of times he's able to find a pick and just fade away. In through the smoke. Okay, never mind. He's been jumping headshot. He's been shot through smoke, and now Sterling picks off another one. Maybe they should just stick to the pistols. They seem to be working fantastically well for Grayhound. Again, another bomb plant. There's going to be a huge amount of cash going into the next round, and now we sit again in a retake.
I like this little boost. HZ. Oh, I feel so disgusting saying that. Trying to actually peek over the top. Malta again with CZ. He's doing some decent damage, but damage is not going to win you the round here. You need to pick up some of these kills. Dexter's going to be there with the AK. Gets one. Malta gets another. And it's going to be all on Savage by himself. Is he out of ammo? Doesn't matter. Dexter gets the kill, and finally Grayhound pick up the round on a half buy.
And I feel like that was coming. I feel like that was coming for quite a while.
It had to work eventually, right?
Yeah, the amount of damage they're able to do with these pistols and the distance they're able to close down, because that's the sort of worry when you do play these more passive angles, is you don't know what's coming quick enough for the rotation to actually come in. And by that point, too much of the map is already lost and a few individual duels won, especially by Dexter, who I feel like in these rounds has been utterly fantastic. Like, considering they've only got 2 rounds, what, did he have 9 kills, or was it 10?
10.
Oh, no.
And then that happens, right? We talk him up. 10 kills in 6 rounds, and then he nades his team. But it doesn't matter. Sterling's going to be there. Maybe the goalkeeper of Playground, as he does take down Savage. And you can see Cyberzen forcing up into this round with very awkward buy. Doesn't that Viva kill? And look how aggressively Viva is just consistently being here over towards this bathroom position. Not the first time he's peeked up that far. Sterling's going to have another person out to side, spots him out. That's an easy kill for him. But Grayhound, I mean, this is a round you shouldn't lose, right? And I feel like they recognize that, which is why they're seeing them play a little bit slower. Urcast was there as a trade if Sterling did go down for some reason. And I think this is a smart play out of Grayhound.
I'd love them to chuck that AWP out of the map, though. Because they're not going to be picking up another one on the T side.
Oh, there wasn't one that close, though. That wasn't an AWP.
Oh, yeah, there was an AWP.
Oh, there was?
Yeah, Savage brought it up to go super aggro. So that was that early fight. Yeah, the AWP on the floor.
Okay.
So I just want them to throw that out of the map. Because the chances are, if there is just somebody lurking around the backlines, they manage to steal that into the next round. It's just not something you want, and the T's don't want it either. So, yeah, just a small detail. But we'll see if it plays any part whatsoever. It is going to be the push. It is actually going to be a reasonable stack here from Cyberzen as well. And that late smoke is just going to be a pain in the arse. There's 25 seconds left on the clock, and they don't have a choice. They've got to go straight through it and clear that corner angle. They haven't cleared it. Viva peeks out. He gets 2 kills. This is a very messy round, but he's the only one left in a 1 versus 2. And he's got so many angles to watch. Sterling will put him down, but that got scary for a second for Grayhound. And considering that was a forced buy with not that much behind it, Cyberzen do a decent amount of damage.
It's just very, very messy CS, I feel like, at this trade. And, you know, I say that with a grain of salt. I mean, the fact is, if 2 of you are pushing long like that and neither of you check that left side, like, you're asking to lose the round. Luckily, Sterling was able to pick up, I think that was 3 at the end of that round, nonetheless. But it's not the first time we've seen Cyberzen picking up frags where they ideally should not have been able to if Grayhound was playing things a little bit differently.
And it's that smoke. That's the thing. With a smoke like that down, you have to expect there's someone in the left corner. Because that's basically the whole point of the smoke, is just to make sure that you can get right behind it and just be a pain. So.
Oh, there we go. So Urcast does read into this smoke a little bit here as he puts it down. The Molotov was thrown. I believe that was out of them as well. Again, just being very cautious about this. I feel like Grayhound, if you're in their shoes, some set nades into some positions where you know they're shoulder peeking you from and are looking to like set up a smoke or a flashbang would be a good start. We did see them try that earlier on up against, I believe it was TV jumping to peek in towards water and towards short multiple times. He got naded. Actually, sorry, it was Bottle. He got naded for about 20, 30 damage. But I think keep that up, you know, get some early damage in, punish them, and maybe make them, you know, second guess holding some of these angles that they're doing.
Just get out. Just straight through the door. Goodbye. Another player dropped. I think that the only fear is, like, with a lot of set grenades in these sort of matches, is just how aggressive Cyberzen are in some rounds. It's like you're setting up a flash, you're setting up a smoke, an HE, and someone just runs at you. That's the thing that gets in the back of your mind after a certain amount of time. But that's fine. I don't think we've seen that much aggression from Cyberzen. There have been a few peaks into middle and actually some fairly defensive holds. And it's interesting because that's what we used to see on CT sides from Tyloo, was they would just sit back to the sites and force teams to execute. I believe it was on Inferno they did that and actually managed to beat